Hello and welcome to yet another edition of Science Monitor, a program that keeps you updated on all that is happening in the world of science and technology. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor with you. Let us begin by taking a look at the headlines. Commonwealth Science Conference organized for the first time in India. Mangalyaan listed among the 25 best inventions of 2014 by Time magazine. Researchers of CERN discovered 2 new subatomic particles. IIT Madras to join new round of CERN experiments. UNEP releases new report, says carbon dioxide emissions must be nil by 2070 to prevent disaster. And in today's In Focus, we will discuss about the scientific aspects of Bhopal Gas Tragedy. And now news in detail. President Pranab Mukherjee inaugurated the Commonwealth Science Conference, which is being organized for the first time in India in nearly 50 years. The conference saw the participation of about 400 researchers from 30 Commonwealth countries.
India, for the first time in the past 50 years, is playing host to the prestigious Commonwealth Science Conference. The 4-day conference held at Bangalore was inaugurated by the President Shri Pranab Mukherjee on 25th November.
The Commonwealth is a very useful forum for dialogue, promoting understanding on global issues and forging consensus on international action. India is a founding member of the Commonwealth. It is its largest member states, being home to nearly 60% of the total population of Commonwealth. India is the 4th largest contributor to Commonwealth budgets and programs, and it is second only to the UK in providing technical experts to Commonwealth Fund for technical cooperation for the purpose of extending assistance to developing Commonwealth countries.
The Commonwealth Science Conference was organized by the Royal Society and supported by the Government of India and Queen Elizabeth Diamond Jubilee Trust. The conference aims to highlight science and encourage cooperation between researchers in the Commonwealth countries and also inspire the youth. It also aims to build scientific capacity and provide opportunities for people to study in countries with better conditions. The conference was attended by more than 300 specially invited renowned scientists from across the world and 70 PhD students from across the Commonwealth. Representatives from over 30 countries also attended the conference. The organizing committee was co-chaired by Bharat Ratna Professor C.N.R. Rao. The researchers delivered lectures on diverse topics including scientific policy, climate, health, information technology, dinosaur planetology, cosmology, infectious diseases and insect society. The Commonwealth Science Conference, being organized after a gap of 50 years, focused on less developed countries where the biggest challenge is access to state-of-the-art instrumentation. According to reports, the Commonwealth represents 12% of the world's researchers and accounts for around 10% of global research and development expenditure, with a huge role to play in scientific future of the world.
India's Mangalyaan is today not only a glory for the country, but is counted as one of the most important inventions of the world. Recently, Time magazine listed Mangalyaan among the 25 best inventions of 2014. Here is a report.
Creating a historical milestone in the field of space science, India's Mars orbiter mission, more commonly known as the Mangalyaan, successfully reached its destination, the red planet Mars, on 24th September. Glorified as one of the most successful scientific feats in the field of space science, India became the first nation to reach Mars in its maiden attempt and the first Asian country to reach the red planet sphere. Now celebrating the success of Mangalyaan, the famous Time magazine has listed the spacecraft among the 25 best inventions of 2014 that are making the world better, smarter, and in some cases a little more fun. The report, calling Mangalyaan a super smart spacecraft, stated that the success of Mangalyaan is a rare technological feat that makes India a superpower in the area of space technology. Mangalyaan, based on the indigenous technology developed by the Indian Space Research Organization, cost only $74 million, which is far less than the budget of the missions of other space agencies. For example, NASA's Maven, which reached Mars on September 21st, was built at a cost of $617 million. The spacecraft Mangalyaan, which weighs 475 kilograms, was launched on board a polar rocket from the spaceport Sriharikota off the Bay of Bengal, about 80 kilometers northeast of Chennai, on 5th November 2013. The mission, called the Mars Orbiter Mission, MOM in short, aims to explore Mars's surface features, morphology, mineralogy and atmosphere using indigenous scientific instruments, along with studying deep space navigation and communication. Besides Mangalyaan, the Time magazine list also includes inventions by two Indians. One among them is the Blue Moon, developed by Professor Nalini Nadkarni to provide an exercise space for prisoners in solitary confinement. The other Indian invention is the Osmo tablet toy for children developed by the former Google engineer Pramod Sharma.
A new study based on fossil discovery in India traces back the origin of horses and rhinoceroses to a common ancestor. These fossils, with 200 bones and teeth, were discovered in an open coal mine pit in Gujarat.
An interesting new study based on fossils discovered from India has shed new light on the evolution of horses and rhinoceroses. The fossils, consisting of 200 bones and teeth, recovered by a group of researchers from the Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine from an open coal mine pit in Gujarat, shows that horses and rhinoceros have a common ancestor. According to the researchers, the fossils belong to an animal called Cambitherium thewesi, belonging to a biological order called Perissodactyla that existed 54.5 million years ago. The term Perissodactyla, comprising of two words, perissos meaning uneven and dactylos meaning finger or toe. Perissodactyla is a biological order of animals commonly known as odd-toed ungulates. They are mammals with hooves having an uneven number of toes and a very simple digestive system different from other herbivorous species. Researchers say that Cambitherium thewesi, whose fossils have been found, is actually a cousin to all living horses, rhinos and tapirs. The characteristics of the fossils like scurral vertebrae and the hand and feet bones closely resemble the earliest Perissodactylus and other primitive animals. These fossils provide evolutionary evidence that horses and rhinoceros belong to the same ancient order Perissodactyla and have originated from the same ancestor. According to the researchers, the discovery also revealed that several groups of mammals from the early Eocene period, that is the period lasting from 56 to 33.9 million years, might have evolved while the Indian subcontinent was still an isolated island and hadn't yet merged with Asia. This study bridges a major gap in the evolutionary history of a group of animals that includes today's horses and rhinos.
And researchers of CERN have claimed the discovery of two new subatomic particles which will further our understanding of the universe. Though the existence of these particles has been predicted by the quark model, they had never been seen before. A related particle was found from the data collected by the CMS experiment at CERN in 2012.
In a breakthrough new study, researchers of CERN, the European Organization for Nuclear Research, have discovered two new subatomic particles. The subatomic particles have been discovered by a collaborative LHCb experiment conducted using CERN's Large Hadron Collider. Though the existence of these particles has been predicted earlier by the quark model, these particles have never been observed directly till now. A related particle had been discovered by the CMS experiment at CERN in 2012. According to researchers, the two new particles belong to the family of subatomic particles called baryon. While we have been taught that atoms are fundamental units of matter, modern physics proves otherwise. In modern physics, subatomic particles refers to particles much smaller than atoms. There are two types of subatomic particles, called the elementary particles like quarks, which are not made of other particles, and composite particles like baryons, which are made of elementary particles. A baryon refers to a composite subatomic particle made up of 3 quarks. Scientists say that the newly discovered particles are baryons made from 3 different types of quarks bound together by the strong force. The quarks which make up these particles are called beauty or B quarks, strange or S quarks, and down or D quarks. Scientists are studying the masses of these particles, their relative production rates, their widths, and the details of other decay, including their stability. According to them, the results of the study so far matches their predictions based on the theory of quantum chromodynamics that describes the fundamental particles of matter, how they interact, and the forces between them. This new discovery is likely to change and extend our understanding of the existing universe and how matter is composed.
Researchers of IIT Madras will now join the famous Higgs boson experiment of CERN. The CMS experiment using Large Hadron Collider is expected to start collecting data in 2015.
While the researchers of CERN continue to make discoveries in particle physics, the researchers of IIT Madras will now have a chance to collaborate with the elite scientific team in making new breakthroughs. According to the new reports, IIT Madras has been accepted as a full member of the collaborative experiments using the Large Hadron Collider at CERN. As a part of this collaboration, the Compact Muon Solenoid or CMS experiment, which is part of the Large Hadron Collider at CERN, will start in March 2015. This is the same experiment that previously resulted in the discovery of the Higgs boson or the God particle. Under this initiative, PhD students from the physics department of IIT Madras will get a chance to work in the collider, while undergraduate students can do short summer projects at CMS. The CMS experiment, which will start next year, will collect data to find whether the Higgs boson will undergo decay in B quarks and to find out about the charged versions of the Higgs particle. The experiment will also try to produce dark matter using particle collisions. While IIT Madras is the first institute from the southern parts of India to become a full member of the CMS, the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, Mumbai, the Bhabha Atomic Research Centre, Delhi, and Punjab universities are already members of CMS experiments of CERN. The CMS experiment is one of the largest international scientific collaborations in the history of science. The goal of CMS experiment is to investigate a wide range of physics, including the search for the Higgs boson, extra dimensions, and particles that could make up dark matter.
The United Nations has warned all the nations that carbon dioxide emissions need to be completely reduced to zero in the coming 60 years to keep global warming below dangerous levels and prevent a global catastrophe. This has been revealed in the recently published UNEP report.
With the effects of climate change becoming increasingly visible across the globe, the United Nations has issued a severe warning related to cutting down of carbon emissions. According to the recent report of the United Nations Environment Programme UNEP, the world must cut down the carbon dioxide emissions to zero by 2070 at the latest to keep global warming below dangerous levels and prevent a global catastrophe. Since industrialization in the 19th century, it is estimated that some 1900 gigatons of carbon dioxide and 1000 gigatons of other greenhouse gases, including methane, nitrous oxide, and ozone, have been emitted into our environment. According to experts, now even an emission of less than 1000 gigatons will raise the temperature of the Earth to more than 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. The report states that unless the carbon dioxide and greenhouse gas emissions are brought down to zero in the coming 60 years, the world will face severe, widespread and irreversible consequences of climate change as predicted by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. This calls for serious change in policies during 2020-2030 to mitigate the effects of climate change.
A new bird species discovered from the Indonesian island of Sulawesi has been named after the late Indian ecologist and ornithologist Navjot Sodhi. The bird was first spotted 15 years ago. Here is a report.
Adding to the world of biodiversity, a new bird species has been discovered from the Indonesian island of Sulawesi. The discovery has been made by Dr. J. Burton C. Harris, a postdoctoral fellow at Princeton University, and his team. The newly discovered bird species called Muscicapa sodhi has been named after the late Indian origin ecologist and ornithologist Navjot Sodhi. Muscicapa sodhi is a kind of Sulawesi streaked flycatcher which is distinguished from other birds by a mottled throat, short wings, feathers, body structure, song and genetics. The bird was spotted for the first time in these islands 15 years ago. The Sulawesi island of Indonesia, known as the world's 11th largest island, is a biological hotspot for birds. The Latin name given to the bird pays homage to the late Professor Navjot Sodhi, who was Mr. Harris's former mentor and professor at the National University of Singapore. Several animal species have been named after Mr. Sodhi, including a snail, a fish, and a new genus and species of crab. Professor Sodhi, an outstanding conservation scholar, is known for his groundbreaking work in the area of tropical ecology and conservation.
And now it is time to take a short break. We'll be right back. Keep watching Science Monitor. 30 years ago, on the night of 2nd and 3rd of December, the world witnessed one of the largest industrial tragedies of the world when the gas leakage in a pesticide plant in Bhopal claimed thousands of lives. The aftermath of the accident still remains fresh. In today's In Focus segment, we will discuss the scientific aspects of the infamous Bhopal Gas Tragedy.
Remembered as one of the worst industrial accidents in the history of mankind, Bhopal Gas Tragedy has left the world marred. The disaster occurred 30 years ago on the nights of 2nd and 3rd December 1984 when the toxic gas methyl isocyanate leaked from the Union Carbide India Limited pesticide plant in Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh. It is estimated that over 500,000 people were exposed to the toxic gas. While the estimates vary on the death toll, according to official data, immediate death toll was 2,259. The government of Madhya Pradesh confirmed a total of 3,787 deaths related to the gas release. According to some other estimates, about 8,000 people died within 2 weeks and another 8,000 or more have since died from gas-related diseases. Methyl isocyanate, shortly known as MIC, is an organic compound used in the chemical industry to produce a number of important chemicals. It is usually used in the production of pesticides, rubbers and adhesives. In the Union Carbide plant, a chemical called methylamine was made to react with phosgene to form MIC, which was then reacted with another chemical called 1-naphthol to form the final product, carbaryl. It is important to note that MIC, along with other intermediaries, are extremely toxic and irritating chemicals and extremely hazardous to human health. Experts say that the gas cloud which formed following the gas tragedy not only contained MIC but also gases like phosgene, hydrogen cyanide, carbon monoxide, hydrogen chloride, monomethyl amine and carbon dioxide. MIC is known to have an instant tear-inducing effect. While the immediate effect of high-level exposure to MIC is death, the symptoms include severe coughing, eye irritation, feeling of suffocation, burning of the respiratory tract, breathlessness, stomach pains and vomiting. MIC is also known to cause ulceration of skin, lungs and kidneys. According to a 2014 report, an estimated 120,000 to 150,000 survivors still struggle with serious medical conditions, including nerve damage, growth problems, gynecological disorders, respiratory issues, birth defects, and elevated rates of cancer and tuberculosis. While MIC has serious consequences on human health, it is a disastrous environmental pollutant and highly toxic to wildlife. When mixed with water bodies, MIC reacts quickly, producing ureas and carbon dioxide gas, and is toxic to fish. MIC may also damage crops and corrode materials. While government today has taken serious steps to mitigate the effects of Bhopal Gas Tragedy, the disaster is an eye-opener to the harmful effects of chemical pollutants and the extreme care that needs to be taken while handling them. It is a reminder that industries need to adopt stringent precautions while handling processes involving such harmful chemicals. Not only this, both the government and the public should be aware of the after effects of these industrial procedures and products. While the scars of Bhopal gas leakage are yet to heal completely, let us all hope and work together to prevent such incidents in future.
And what are the contributions of science to this week's history? We shall learn in our next segment from the pages of history.
30th November 1958 is the birth date of famous Indian physicist and plant physiologist Jagdish Chandra Bose. Jagdish Chandra Bose is known for his pioneering work on radio and microwaves. Using this principle, he had carried out an explosion using gunpowder for the first time, that too standing just a few meters away.
On December 2, 1942, the atomic division was demonstrated for the first time when atomic chain reaction was successfully carried out on this day. Italian scientist Enrico Fermi used enriched uranium for the production and graphite block to help control the speed of neutrons. This success in the field of science is still considered to be a curse for the society, because this first man-made self-sustaining nuclear chain reaction eventually lead to creation of the atomic bomb and nuclear power plants. On the 4th of December 1898, the famous Indian physicist Karya Manikkam Srinivasan Krishna was born. He, along with famous scientist Sir C.V. Raman, contributed to the discovery of Raman effect. During this time, he studied about the scattering of light and also conducted a lot of experiments on the superficial and polarizing properties of light. On the 6th of December 1631, prediction of the famous German astronomer Johannes Kepler came true when the first Venus transition was observed in the space. Kepler was the first person to predict a transit of Venus. Transit of Venus happens when the planet Venus, while on its motion in its orbit, comes exactly in line with the Earth and the Sun.
Let us now have a look at some important science and technology activities happening in India and abroad in our next segment, Science Express.
Renowned scientist Professor Yashpal on his 88th birthday addressed the students of the nation and spoke on the development of a scientific temper. Speaking on the occasion, organized by the National Book Trust, Professor Yashpal narrated his journey from his student days to being one of the most renowned researchers of the nation. Professor Yashpal, while speaking to the children, stressed on the importance of developing logical and analytical thinking over memorizing facts from books. In order to ignite the enthusiasm of young students for information technology and robotics and promote young talents, the Cambridge School recently conducted an inter-school techno-Olympic competition. Students from various schools took part in the competition and displayed their talents in various contests like Battle of Brains, Future Tech, Robotronics, QB Express and Tech Talk. For his outstanding contributions to the field of science and technology, Indian origin scientist Professor Thomas Kailath was awarded the prestigious US National Medal of Science by President Barack Obama in a recently held ceremony at the White House. The medal is the highest American honor given for contributions in the field of science and technology. Professor Kailath, who was born in Kerala in 1935, was the first Indian to receive a doctorate in electrical engineering from the University of Massachusetts in 1961. In a major effort to save habitats of flamingo birds, the Maharashtra government has announced a Rs 800 crore fund to mitigate the damage caused to Sweri mud flats in central Mumbai. Sweri mud flats are known for housing flamingos during their annual migration in Mumbai during winters. This famous flamingo habitat is being threatened by the chemical waste and sewage from the nearby fertilizer factory, oil refineries and a thermal power plant and the Mumbai Trans Harbour Link project. The government has allocated the funds in response to concerns raised by environmentalists and bird lovers. The Ministry of Earth Sciences, India and UNESCO recently signed a letter of intent for cooperation in the field of reducing disaster risks and capacity building in earth sciences. The agreement is aimed at promoting collaborative ventures in different scientific areas, especially in the field of ocean-related studies. Under this initiative, India will actively contribute to the activities of the International Oceanographic Congress. On the occasion of World Fisheries Day that was celebrated on November 21st, Minister for Agriculture announced the launch of Blue Revolution. The initiative aims to place major thrust on increasing fish production in the country. In order to promote this, the government is aiming to facilitate the availability of quality fish seed and formulated fish seed. This is in light of the fact that fishery is a major industry in India and India ranks number 2 in fish production with a fisherman population of 14.5 million.
Well, that is all for this episode of Science Monitor. Do tell us how do you like our program. You can send your feedback and suggestions. Our email ID is news@vigyanprasar.gov.in. You can also write in to us at Vigyan Prasar, C24, Qutub Institutional Area, New Delhi 110016. That is all for today. We'll be back with fresh news stories on science and technology again next week. Till then, bye-bye and stay tuned to Rajya Sabha TV.